Wow, a lot of camera faces. This is great. Typically, people like to hide. I mean, I know I do when I can. I'll hide behind my camera protector.
3 people turned off cameras instantly.
Well, don't let me scare you guys. All right, Liam's here. Great. All right. So I've got a short intro, and then we can jump into it's going to be a little confusing, just because we're going to be moving people back and forth between rooms, but we'll keep everybody here for the intro. So welcome, first of all, everybody. It's about 1.5 weeks. Yeah, Austin's got the right idea. Punch the air. Welcome, everybody, to the first hack feedback session. We're likely going to have several of these, time permitting, in the future, just so we can get people in the cadence of presenting their idea and framing their projects. But this is the first one, so apologies if it's a little disjointed. We're still figuring out like what the best format is and how we can best give feedback to hackers in their projects. So like I said, we're halfway through week 2. People have been kind of settling into their teams. We have over 180 teams, which is pretty amazing. We're floored by the number of people that have showed up for this again. And what you may have noticed is that we've organized you into cohorts. If you check the Discord, you'll see that there's another channel that you've been added in with a bunch of teams. Cohorts are usually around 20-ish teams. So you're with a bunch of people, and that's where we're going to be doing check-ins from now on. So if you haven't done your week 2 check-in, please make sure to go to that channel and drop same as we did the first week, just drop a little summary about where your project's at, what you're thinking about, any sponsors you're thinking of integrating, stuff like that. And it was, yeah, like I said, it was previously done through DMs, but now we're switching, just it's a little easier for us to manage. So about the hack feedback session. So it's still early, but hopefully by now you've picked an idea to settle on, and you either started building it with your team, or if you're on your own, you have a clear strategy on how you're going to be doing this. If you are integrating a sponsor, your best bet is to just go directly to their channels and ask them. They're pretty responsive, and they're very happy to help people integrate stuff. For this event, we're going to be having just 5-minute slots, given the amount of people that have showed up. In the future, it might be a little bit longer, but we're going to keep it short. And remember that the intent is to, again, just like make sure you're expressing your idea clearly, have some time to make sure you give your name, the name of your project, what your general intent is, any sponsors you want to integrate, stuff like that. And the other thing to consider is that this might not be a super deep technical review. Like we're not going to be doing, we're not going to be doing code reviews and things like that on this session. That might be better served in the Discord or one-on-one with a mentor, but we will be just giving a general assessment of where your project is and giving you some time to talk about your ideas with other people. All right, that's my spiel. Any questions from anybody before we jump into it? No questions. All right. So to start, let's consult our list. I believe Everett said that he's unable to join. He was first. Let's see if we can. We can add some breakout rooms. Why don't we start with, so the next person on the list is Jeff Bennett. Jeff, are you here?
Yeah.
You are, awesome. So you're gonna present my DeFi Pi. I'm going to let you take it away. If you have a screen share, that's fine. You can start with that. But if you just want to talk verbally, go ahead. And I'm going to try to add some breakout rooms, and then we can sort of split people off into different things. So go ahead. And so, but before that, so let me just get a quick assessment of the mentors we have. Alex, Austin, Franco, who else? Liam from ETHGlobal. Okay. Let me know if I missed any mentors, or just feel free to give a wave and say hi. Jeff, go ahead. Remember, you have 5 minutes.
All right, yeah, I'll just introduce the idea first. I can share screen too. So I mean, finance, I've always been interested in these innovative products. And a company has a thing that does optimized, personalized portfolio. So you tell it what you care about, what your objectives are, and then it will rank and create an optimized portfolio for you. So, but of course, there's no crypto. But we have, the theme here is composability. We have all the tools we need. We can wrap physical gold with Paxos, and we can wrap real world assets with UMA. And e-tokens lets you wrap non-Ethereum blockchains, right? And you can have interest-bearing tokens. You can swap things, one basket of coins for others. And then, of course, the balancer has the portfolio mechanism itself. So what I'm trying to create here is something like PiDAO, which I didn't know about until I started this. PiDAO lets you do a similar thing, but it's governed by a DAO. You have to pick, the pies are created by the DAO mechanism. So this is like PiDAO minus the DAO part, but it's also hyper individualized, something like M1 Finance that lets you pick pies and compose them into portfolios in the traditional world. And you can also copy successful portfolios and traders like eToro, and then putting it on the blockchain. So that's what the general idea is. So let me try to share the. Is that coming through?
Yep.
It is?
So I see a pie chart.
Yep.
Is it showing the other windows too? Let's see. Okay, yeah. So, so yeah, it's like I said, it's like this plus this plus this, plus a lot of on-chain analytics and things too. So you can first you could do settings. So you can. My company happens to do ESG because that's a trend in the industry. So like environmental, social governance, you can tell it, I care a lot about the environment and, not about social at all and a little bit about governance, right? And then this is what's implemented. But you also could do your risk tolerance, growth potential. You can give it which kind of crypto you want to focus on, what stablecoins you want to use, right? And then you can also look at, so there's different portfolios from other people, like conservative might be different allocations that other people have done. Let me go back to this though. Let's see. So basically you can have physical gold, which goes through Paxos. You can have which cryptos you want, and then you can adjust how much you want of each one, and it uses wrapped Bitcoin for this. And then the cash of stable coins, you can say which proportion you want. And then also you have traditional stocks. So you can say stocks or ETFs, and these are ranked according to all the, this is real data. This is ranked according to the preferences in here, and you can add and delete things and update your allocation there. And then, yeah, it also picks them, you can pick your collateral. So it's going to use the UMA synthetic for if you have equities, it'll use that. Otherwise, in the cash, it uses the stable coins, and crypto, it uses these. and gold is Paxos. And then you can, so it tests it. So you can go to the back test and, well, first, and this will show, because it's kind of a weird thing to daily rebalance. Nobody does that in traditional finance. So this tells you what that would have done over the year. And also the volatility, like how much it had to, so luckily we had this little debacle here. This was kind of a test to make sure it was working. You know, when the price is very volatile, it has to do a lot of work to rebalance. And it also just gives you the standard returns, which is the regular return if you didn't rebalance. And then so you can see, you know, the proportions of what each thing is. And then when you're ready, you can say, okay, I want to make a pool from this 5,000, create this, and it's going to go. Oh, and it figures out if your address is ENS and retrieves that. It's going to go to your wallet and figure out which tokens you have, and then you can, and who knows what kind of random airdrops you have, like this thing. So you can say, I only want to use these, and then you calculate, and yeah, it's going to figure out how to get from what you have to where you want to go.
All right, that is 5 minutes. Looks
Okay.
like Liam had a question. Who classifies all these assets? Is it just done on your end?
You mean the traditional ones?
Just in general, like,
yeah, go ahead, Liam.
And I think you had ESG, right? This environmental social thing. Like, are you just?
That's because that's arbitrary. It's what I happen to have, because that's what this company does. So that's the data I happen to have.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
It doesn't. Yeah. It's oh, that's in the setting. Yeah, in the settings you can say. So whatever data you had, whatever data provider you wanted to use, you would do whatever you could do here. So we're also merging with Infinivate, which does a lot of more of this kind of like standard beta alpha stuff, and then of course I could do this. I don't want to go too far down this because I need to do the on-chain stuff, but I wanted to make it.
How much of this works now on chain? Like, how much is this mocked out, or is this actually hitting like local contracts in Ganache or something?
Well, I'm using the only way I can do it with large token balances. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, trying to do it on a private chain first, and it didn't really work. And now I'm working on Builder and forking the chain with Ganache, because that's the only way I can get large balances of tokens, which I need for this.
Oh, I see. You need that data. Yeah, I know a guy who's working on a system to like take a snapshot of only DeFi stuff on mainnet and then regularly provide an API that you can sync your local Ganache to. So it's like you just start Ganache and like sync DeFi, and it runs in like a second because it's only a subset of the entire chain. I'll introduce you to that guy in the chat.
Okay, it's still trouble. So the idea is to, I've done some work with the UMA, and you can also see some of the things that I need for that. So basically, I wanted to frame it. This is the sort of easy. I wanted to do the entire off-chain app is implemented, and the data feed comes from my company. So that's all done. But now it's kind of the harder part of. I need to have some actual dinosaurs on the dinosaur tour here. So I do have some start with UMA, and the idea is to have a balancer which is not finalized, so that you could. So when you have here, when you create the, and this doesn't go to the real wallet either yet, but it is in JavaScript. Like it is, everything is in.
Hey Jeff.
Yeah.
No, we're just gonna have to keep moving along. I think Liam will connect you with one of the persons that he mentioned.
Yeah, Jeff, can you DM me on I'm trying to find the people. Just you DM me on Discord, or just like mention me somewhere, and I can introduce you to that guy. And then also, like, it seemed like there's a it seemed like in general, like there's some technical next steps for this, like just integrating it correctly and such that this is like testable. Like I'd love to be able to like
Yeah.
run this like on Robson, for example, like for real. And I can help with that also. after this.
Okay, yeah, my conflict was I didn't know how to get large balances of tokens to actually do it.
Yeah, I'm saying I know a guy who's literally one of his
Right.
project, like his project is to make
Yeah.
an API for that exact use case.
Okay, great.
All right, awesome. So it looks, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think we have breakout rooms enabled for this. So correct me if I'm wrong, anyone from ETHGlobal. I don't think we have it enabled, unfortunately. So what we're gonna do an audible on the field, and I'm going to ask Andrew. Can you unmute for a second?
Yep.
Yeah, would you mind dropping and starting another Zoom call, and then just DM me the link and I will drop it in the chat, and maybe we could have a few mentors and I'll send people there.
Sure.
How does that sound?
Okay. Yep.
Do you want me to do
Okay.
the same?
Let's see, let's keep Liam and yeah. Why don't Jacob, you go with Andrew, and he will drop the link. We'll keep Liam and Alex. Alex, how's it going, man? Let's see what other mentors we've got here.
I mean,
Austin,
do you want me to make a third group with maybe Austin or something?
That's what I was
Let's
wondering.
see.
Should we just throw another Zoom link in and just take
Yeah.
a third faction off? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could
Let
do
me just post
3.
a Zoom link.
Austin, the MVP.
Will do.
All right. So let's have the next person start. Where are we at? Julia, are you ready to go?
Hey, yes, I am.
Awesome.
Cool. Hi, everyone. I am Julia, and I'm an engineer based in San Francisco, California. So what I'm working on is a wallet that earns you interest, basically. And kind of the main goals behind all of this, there are many. One of them is I want to make it more intuitive for folks around the world who want to own assets that let them hedge, for example, currency depreciation in their local currencies. So especially during COVID, my friends who live outside the United States in some developing countries have expressed concern about currency depreciation. And so we also see a lot of people, for example, going after gold. And so it's a time when people are thinking a lot about owning assets that maybe aren't just like cash in their local currencies. And then another goal that I have is to work on the UX in just overall blockchain apps, but also the onboarding flow. So your ability to use, adapt, or acquire different kinds of assets. Today, you kind of need MetaMask or an existing wallet, but we have more and more tools to make that easier. So I started implementing over the last couple days. So my demo will be fairly short, but let me share my screen real quick. All right. Cool. So this is working with Compound, and the content that we're displaying here is there's a wallet. Everything is running on my local testnet, but pointing to the Compound contract. And so this is how much I have in ETH, test ETH, and then how much I've supplied to Compound so far, what that means in terms of CETH. And so with the Compound protocol, my C tokens will continue to earn interest and grow in value. So far, I've just used ETH as an asset, but as many of us know, there are lots of options to play around with. But to quickly share with you how that would work, I could decide how much I want to supply. So say I want to supply 2 more. Let that finish. So I have almost 3 ETH supplied to Compound. My wallet balance is updated. My C tokens are updated. And I can also see that at the current exchange rate, how much my C ETH or C tokens can be redeemed if I were to redeem right now. What I also want to show is the exact APR that you're earning. So you can get a very easy, very quick view of that return on investment. So I can also redeem right now. You would redeem everything. Cool. I'm seeing an error in my terminal right now, so I'm just going to restart my connection real quick. Okay, let's try that again. So we will supply again. Let's see, let's try.
I have a quick question while you're going through this. What's like I use this thing called staked, like personal, like staking, I guess. What do most people do right now? Like if the goal is to get more people to use this web interface, this web wallet, what do most people do now if they want to be using Compound? And why would they choose this over that?
Yeah. So that's a great question. One idea is that the onboarding, you would be able to fund a built-in wallet. I was thinking of using Portis as like a built-in non-custodial wallet that you could fund with, say, a debit card or your bank account. And we do have some projects that are working on that already. However, they're all fairly new. And I also want this to be very international friendly. And so you would be able to ideally fund this with like an international debit card or bank account. So let's try redeeming again.
Okay, so that's kind of like providing a Dharma-like UI.
Correct. Yeah. So I've redeemed, and so now if I refresh the page, then my ETH is zeroed out and my wallet balance is back. And Liam, to your point, I was very much inspired by Dharma. I think that there are some, so even with Compound, there's some more experimenting that we could do here. So maybe not just ETH, right? Different types of assets. They just announced support for USDT, for example. We could work with DAI. And besides that, there's also other protocols that we could play around with as sort of like an integrated pool. And yeah.
Awesome. One like tiny piece of feedback that also anyone else can give feedback if they want. I'm just kind of butting in, but one thing for me, like I mentioned, I use this thing called staked, like for like a web interface to like put some crypto in and hope it gets a return. But like I haven't audited their contract. I think they actually give me something called Ray token that I don't understand at all. If they, like one property I would want out of a thing like this is the ability to very quickly verify that this website is not somehow going to screw me over without having to trust some brand, right? The reason I use Dharma is because like I trust Dharma, I trust Nadav, like even if I don't look at the code, I don't know what they're doing. They probably have access to it, like that's fine. But if I'm using something like this, which is like some open source or maybe just like a landing page I spot with no company behind it necessarily, I'd want to be able to like within 5 minutes get some kind of confidence that this thing is not going to lose my money. So I don't know what that exactly translates into, but that might mean like, is the code open source? Is the actual literal code that's implemented just so small that I could literally read it myself if I wanted to, like that kind of thing? Because if it had that property, I can see myself and a lot of other people just making it their go-to staking UI or lending UI.
Nobody looks at that stuff anyways, though, right? Isn't it really marketing? It's what's going to make people feel good, so they do that.
Yeah, in general, yeah, that's my point. Like about if a company's, I guess I don't know 100% Julia's intention. Maybe she can talk about that. But if it's like, if this is going to be like a MyEther wallet or something that the brand is not as established or it's not, there's no company behind it necessarily, but it's just on the internet, then people won't use it unless there's an easy way to get that trust. And I'm just saying, if the actual view showed like that some way that I can get confidence about it, then I think it would be good. It just depends who the audience is. Is the audience everybody in the world, or is the audience like people that have money to put into crypto but don't really want to have to use some service which may be taking a fee?
Yeah. Yeah, so the audience would be more mainstream users. But even for those people, trust is very important. And so I think you bring up a really good point. If it's not, it could be open source code. So people who, are more familiar with everything can look at that. But I do have to think about, like for the mainstream user, how to communicate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think of any things like UI approaches or anything specifically tailored for the international users you said you wanted to keep in mind?
Yeah. So for international users, I was thinking this would have to be more of a like a targeted rollout. Maybe focus on a region first. I don't know, maybe Latin America, or like focus on region and then think about kind of what their concerns are. One of them might be, okay, my currency is depreciating in value against the dollar. And so, I want to invest in some assets that could expose me to that same stability as a dollar, for example. And that would go a lot into the marketing message, but also, the overall, like, I don't know if it would be through ads or through some other type of communication, but I would have to think about a rollout strategy. Yeah. Did you have any thoughts around that?
I mean, I'm that target demographic, so I was just curious, because there usually isn't that much that's tailored. Which is curious. No specific thoughts.
You may be able to find some cheap ad placements in places like Africa or some market that basically skip the whole laptop and PC generation and went straight to mobile.
All right, I'm calling it. Thank you, Julia. I'm sorry, just in general, for just we're figuring this out as we build the machine. So looks like 5 minutes might be a little too short for Teams, but we're going to try and get as many people to present as possible. So like I said before, Austin Griffith has started another room. You scroll up in the chat, you should be able to find it. I think they have like 4 teams there now. And we just had Sina join. Welcome.
Yo,
thank you.
How's it going?
Good. I think what we might do is put you in a room with Andrew, and then we might direct some hackers to you, and then they'll present directly to you. That sounds all right.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
All right, so just before I send you off, let's see who's next. We just had Julia present. Thank you, Julia. Next up was Jesus Perez. Are you still with us, or did you go to the other room? Let's see, I don't think I saw his name. Okay, he might be in the other room. So we're gonna move on to Dragos, team DOTC. Are you still here?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Perfect. All right, take it away, man.
Sure. So, hello everyone. I'm Dragos. I'm a student, and I'm trying to build decentralized peer-to-peer loans and OTC derivatives markets for non-fungible tokens. So the main idea is to have a way to get loans for your non-fungible tokens as collateral. And I have just started building. I don't have much progress yet because I had some time constraints, but I've started building the front end. And a next step would be to have on OTC derivatives to have over-the-counter derivatives using non-fungible tokens as collateral as well. And I am still researching how I could do that. So let me show you. Yeah, as I said, I haven't done much. It's just the front page that I've built until now. But the idea is for anyone to get peer-to-peer loans using their non-fungible tokens as as collateral. So, for example, you could have ENS names as collateral, or any other NFTs, basically. And that would be a first step. And next, I would like to look into over-the-counter derivatives. So yeah, that's all I have basically till now.
What are you going to use?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. All right. What are you going to use as the oracle for the NFTs? How are you going to price them to know how much they're worth as collateral?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. So my thought behind that would be that being an open peer-to-peer market, people could do their own pricing and agree on the pricing. So you could create a new order and price, let's say, have your collateral and ask for a certain loan, and people could agree on the terms, basically.
So the liquidity providers would end up,
yes,
like approving the price of the collateral. All right.
Yes.
So how do you actually handle liquidations? Like, would you essentially need to have like the liquidity provider buy the NFT, like during a liquidation process, or would there need to be a source of liquidity for this NFT? Yeah, I'm curious how you'd handle that.
So, could you please explain a bit more about liquidation? So, if let's say someone defaults on their loan, you mean? Okay, then if someone defaults on their loan, you get the collateral, you get the NFT, basically.
Okay, that makes sense.
I was going to ask one thing. Yeah, you mentioned, because I was DMing you earlier, you mentioned that you wanted to follow some common financial standards in the regular world, I guess. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So the first step, as I said, I was thinking of having loans for NFTs. And then I was also thinking about having derivatives like options and futures, maybe using, again, NFTs as collaterals. And I found a common domain model by ISDA. They basically regulate the normal financial market. And I was trying to follow their approach to building those derivatives. But the first step would be to get it working for loans first.
So, like, rather than it being like an automated system where you can get loans, it's more like a marketplace where like lenders can underwrite you for an NFT and give you a loan, and then they keep the NFT. But so it's not like Compound where you can just, you know, automatically get the loan. It's more like a marketplace, right?
Yes, exactly. It's not like Compound. You cannot get the loan instantly. You need to have someone to lend you the tokens, or lend you ETH, for example, for your NFT, basically. Because let's say you have an ENS name that you want to that you still want to keep, but you need some liquidity and you don't want to sell it and then get it back. You just get that liquidity for your very special ENS name, for example.
One thing that sounds to me, like in the implementation detail might be an issue is that how do you ensure that when they give you something as collateral that it is, like, I guess, is it expected that that NFT has any sort of use for the person that's taking it on as collateral?
I guess so. So my idea would be that it would be transparent what kind of NFT you get. So if you want to offer that person a loan using that NFT as collateral, that means you are interested in that and you would use that. It would be good for you, even if they default to get that NFT, right?
Okay, so it's okay. Yeah, never mind. So it's not, you're not actually, yeah. There's no way that there's no way to actually provide them any sort of usage of it. It's just like it's locked, and you might transfer depending on the outcome of the loan.
Yes, that's my idea so far, basically.
Yeah.
All right, Dragos, thank you. Sorry to cut off the discussion, but again, if there's any questions, definitely keep it going in the Discord. This first session is just meant like to get your general idea out there and get you used to presenting. But awesome, this is good stuff. Let me just consult the list again. Just as a reminder, we have 2 other rooms set up. The links, we have Austin and Jacob in one of them, and then Sina and Andrew in another. So if you would like to jump ahead, now hopefully we don't have everybody leave this room and then go to the other ones, and then the lines keep shifting, but we'll see how it goes. The links should be in the chat somewhere, but we're making good progress. So Arpit, with DeFi Dollar, are you in this room still? Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm right here. Thanks.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, so we don't have a UI as yet because we had been working on the smart contracts. So I wanted to put across the idea that we are trying to build and then get the feedback from mentors and fellow hackers. So that would be nice, right? So we are building DeFi Dollar, and that aims to bring stability to stablecoins, right? So the issues with the current stablecoins, and I would like to discuss them briefly. So volatility. So stablecoins are volatile because of, the peg is $1, but what really governs the price is the supply and the demand. So often you would see that the demand for DAI is quite high, or sometimes it's low. So basically they don't really hold the peg. Similarly, for another stablecoin, another decentralized stablecoin called SUSD, right? And then with the centralized stablecoins like USDT Tether or USDC, there's a custodian risk, which is, like banks might seize all their assets, or they might ask them to close their operations. So there are always these ongoing discussions about, which coin do you think is the least safe and things like that. So this is an issue with centralized coins. And then, with coins like DAI, there's extensive governance. So quite often you would see governance polls happening on Twitter, and then people have to keep adjusting the stability fee, adding new collateral and things like that. So what we are trying to make is a stable coin, which is governance minimized and also really stable. So what is DeFi Dollar? So yeah, in short, DeFi Dollar is a stable coin. And how it works is it is an attempt at being an index of current stable coins like DAI, SUSD, USDC, and that uses DeFi primitives to stay near the dollar mark and subsidize the collateralization ratio. So how it works is, so we have a user. So what they do is, because DeFi Dollar is an index of stable coins, right? So for example, let's just take 2 assets for now. So user deposits 100 USDC and 100 DAIs in the smart contract. So this scroll looking thing is the DeFi Dollar smart contract, right? And what that does is it puts the coins in Aave, and then Aave returns the A tokens equivalent of the coins. So these coins with like a little Aave logo in them are the Aave version of those coins. So the smart contracts gets that. And then it puts those Aave coins in a balancer pool, right? So right now the balancer pool has 100 USDC, 100 Aave USDCs, and 100 ADIs, right? And then there are two ways by which the smart contract is receiving fees. So one is the interest from Aave, and another is, so basically this balancer pool is like a curve.phi pool. It's meant to be for stable, for efficient swap of stable coins, right? And if users do that, there will be some trading fee. Why users would do that? I'll discuss that shortly, right? But assuming that they are using this balancer pool to like swap between stable coins, so then there will be some trading fee and then there will be some interest. So all those income, these two income streams are being directed to the smart contract, right? So now what happens is that the price fluctuates. So let's say USDC goes to 0.9 and DAI goes to 1.1. These are obviously hypothetical values. So now what happens is, because DAI is more valuable as compared to USDC now, right? But in the balancer pool right here, the ratio was 1:1. So balancer pools use an automated market making function to determine how much coin is worth relative to another coin, right? So in the original pool, the ratio is 1:1. So when the price fluctuates, it opens up an arbitrage opportunity, which means if you give 0.9 worth of USDC, which is 1 USDC, you get 1 DAI, which is $1.1. So there's a profit to be made there, right? So arbitrage arbitrars will try to arbitrage this, and what would end up having is the coin that is less valuable, they will be more in number in the pool, right? Because people sent in USDC, which was cheaper, to get DAI, which was more expensive, and DAI will be less in number in the pool. But what happens because of that is, so these are hypothetical values, but something like 112 USDCs then multiplied by 0.9 will give you $100 again. And DAI, which was at 1.1, but because there are only 91 coins of DAI in the pool, that goes to $100 again, right? So the DeFi dollar, originally I think I forgot to mention that. So when you send in 100 of each, you get 200 DeFi dollars. So yeah, because there's a $1 peg. So now what happens is, because individual pools are at $100 again, so 200 DeFi dollars are at $1 again, right? Even though the pools that are backing them have moved. And they will move because there's an arbitrage opportunity if there's a fluctuation. But now there's a more interesting case, right? Let's say both of the coins are going below the $1 mark. So if one was going above and one was going below the dollar mark, it's more straightforward, right? Because you can simply remove the coin which is more valuable and add the coin which is less valuable. But in this case, let's say both of these coins are going below the dollar mark. So what really happens? So because DAI is still more valuable than USDC, arbitrars will still make a profit out of this. So let's say the pool ends up with 106 of USDC and then 99.5 DAI, which is okay, right? But then overall, if you see, the pool value has dropped from $100 each. And that is very natural because both of these coins have fallen, right? So now there's a second rebalancing mechanism, and that is using an oracle. So periodically, after the arbitrage people are done arbitraging and then balancing the pool to a certain extent, an oracle like Chainlink pushes the prices to the DeFi dollar smart contract. And it says that the price outside is 0.97 or 0.98, right? And then what happens is, so I mentioned that there are two income sources for the DeFi dollar, which was from the trade, from the balancer pool, and other was from Aave, right? So Chainlink tells it the prices. And then now the smart contract knows that USDC pool was at 97.5, right? So it needs to complete the deficit of $2.5. So $2.5 divided by 0.97 gives you 2.57 coins. So because the smart contract is holding extra coins from the income, it transfers that to the pool. And similarly for DAI. So a deficit of $2.5 divided by the DAI price, which is 0.98, is 2.55. And those coins are transferred to the pool. And that's how the pools are balanced again by at $100 each. So again, because there were 200 DeFi dollars and the pool is $100 each again, so DeFi dollar stays at 1. yeah, that's what we are working on.
Cool. Thank you, Arpit. Any feedback or general thoughts from people?
Yeah, I think like it's like a really interesting idea. I think the thing that would be interesting to see is some kind of analysis of like, at how much pressure is required for this to break down. Like it seems like it relies on having these fees and the interest from Aave. Like, how much does it rely on those things? Like, at what level of volatility does it basically eat up all of the funds that it's stored, and how much can it support with those funds? It would be just interesting to like do like some kind of analysis on. But from my like layman standpoint, it seems like a really cool idea to use these.
Yeah, I was trying to run numbers. So if you think about it, like I don't think DAI fluctuates more than 3%. Like, but let's say the value is 5%. So let's say I'm expecting 5% fluctuation, right? So you need the backing pool of 5% to be there, which kind of takes like an year to complete, because lending protocols are giving like 3 to 4% per year. So it's like after a year, I would expect the coin to be fully stable. But of course, if there is more liquidity, then it would need some more time to have the backing pool, right? So that is one thing. Yeah. But yeah, that is something there. But in the worst case, like even if there's not a backing pool, so it simply degrades to being the index of stable coins, which is like a dumb stable of index coins. So I would say it's still better than a vanilla stable coin.
There's some good questions in the Zoom chat also.
Yeah, looks like a question from Mick and Sai. Unfortunately, we're gonna move on to the next presenter just so we can keep the ball rolling and get as many people as possible in.
Yeah, we should make sure you like if you go to the showcase channel on Discord,
okay,
and just like we can kind of keep the discussion going there, and if any other people have questions, you can also like we can keep it going in there.
Sure.
Yeah, and anybody who's made slides, feel free to drop your slides in any discussions, because that'll be helpful for people understanding. But yeah, definitely Mick and Sai, if you have additional questions, pick those up in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Arpit.
Thank you.
Next up, Vitali, Purus and Numerous. Are you here? No, hopefully he's joined the other room. Harsh, EPNS.
Hey.
There he is. Awesome. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Trent. Hi all. I am Harsh. I'm working on a system called EPNS, which is Ethereum push notification system. I'm working on this with my team members, basically just me and Richa Joshi. She's also here. Okay, so let me start with what the Ethereum push notification system is. It simply put, it allows you to dApps or smart contracts to send push notifications to mobile devices of the wallet owners who have subscribed to those dApps or smart contract. The way we have envisioned it to work is by means of a smart contract interacting with the dApp to store and broadcast a message. The storing is done through IPFS. And to receive the message, we are relying on server, the EPNS push notification server, which will listen to the events generated by the smart contracts, and then basically do some magic to allow that push notifications to be delivered to the user. So there are around 4 modules which we had to work on. So we just picked up the mobile module first and tried to complete it. It's almost done, so hopefully I can show it to you. Are you guys able to see my middle device?
Yeah.
Oh, great. So by the way, the push notifications, they were working in the morning, but this is just a screenshot. right now, the Google notification server isn't sending push notifications, and we haven't finished our server implementation yet. But yeah, let's go to EPNS mobile app. So you have your basic security feature, and then I had already connected my wallet. So it just reads my wallet, it reads the ENS name, converts it. I have my profile, I can import the app. The feeds are basically what will come in the hello world. We have finished the entire onboarding process. So I'll just show you how easy it is right now. So this is the first screen that the user sees when they open the EPNS wallet. The next step is signing in with the private key. So right now we have two options. One is just entering the private key. The other is just scanning it up. So as soon as it scans up, the app basically asks for a security code. The security code is used to encrypt this private key and store it on the app. The security code itself is converted to SHA-256, so that each of the things are stored securely. Okay, so that's it. After that, the app. There's one more screen which the app will skip because I've already allowed push notifications, but basically that's it. Once you do that, you'll have the login screen, which, come on. Okay, let me just try it again. I think I created I think I stored the passcode as 11111. Okay. So let me be extra careful this time. 11, enable face ID. Awesome. So yeah, that's the receiving part. Basically, the wallet is connected, so the device tokens are generated. Whatever device tokens are generated on the device, it is encrypted and uploaded to the server. The server decrypts the wallet tokens, verify if it's coming to if it's coming from the intended wallet address. If it is, it stores the wallet and the wallet tokens on one-to-many mapping. And then once a push notification is generated, the server again verifies the wallets which are subscribed to an app owner group. And then the server talks to this service, which converts those wallets to device token and sends the payload. The payload can be encrypted and unencrypted. In case of encryption, it will only work for a single user. So let's say if Aave wanted to send a notification that your loan is getting liquidated for a wallet address, they can send them. They just have to interact with the DApp. The DApp encrypts the entire message with the user's public key of the wallet. And then the app receives it and uses the user's private key to decrypt the message. So that's EPNS in short. I also wanted to talk about the game theory. So we thought a lot about why would the users subscribe to the app owners group and how to make sure that there are proper checks and balances when it comes to app owner groups and when it comes to users. So what we came up with a game theory which makes sure that everyone is properly verified and everyone kind of has an incentive to participate in the system and to make sure the system works. To start with, the DApp or the smart contract allows you to be an app owner, but in order for you to be an app owner, you have to stake 50 or a higher amount of DAI. Now that 50 or higher amount of DAI, it basically goes to Aave, or it could also go to Compound, and interest is getting generated on it. So that is a way for the app owner to prove that, you know, they are interested and they're serious players in the game. Once that happens, they are given an app owner status, and they are given an app owner module. Now let us come to the users part. So of course, the user has incentive to subscribe to push notification, but we wanted to provide additional incentive to the users. And that we do in terms of the interest which is getting earned by these app owners in Dave. So if a user subscribes to an app owner group, basically the number of days they have been subscribed to, they will earn that much interest on the app owner's principal amount. The app owner can also, you know, destroy that group. And if they do, you know, all of their principal DAI is returned, except for a small fee of 10 DAI, which is, you know, taken back as maintenance and to further ensure that the app owners are serious players in the market. So basically,
Harsh, I'm gonna pause you for 1 second because it's right at 11. If anybody has to drop, thank you for joining. We're gonna keep going for a little bit. Liam, you're still good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Franco, if you can stay on, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for a bit longer.
Yeah. If you have to drop, feel free to just jump in and say bye, everybody. That's not a problem. And then the other mentors that might be in this room, again, same thing. If you have to drop, that's fine. Just give us a wave or say bye in the chat. Does anybody have any questions or comments to Harsh?
Yeah, I have one. Like, this seems like really nice and really polished, and like I think that's great. The one thing that kind of like the only question I have is like, what do you think is going to be the first use case, or what do you think what is a really good use case that could get people like myself or people on this chat even to start using this like frequently? Like what do you think is the most exciting, the sexiest use case kind of thing?
Okay, so I can actually, that's a great question. I did think of several use cases. I don't think sexiest. I can define them as sexiest. But yeah, let's say you have taken a loan from Aave and it's getting liquidated. Of course, you know, one way is that you log into Aave dashboard and you said that your loan is getting liquidated. But this event is something which you would really want to be notified of instantly. So that's a use case. The other use case is, let's say you're launching your own cryptocurrency token. Of course, most of the cryptocurrency tokens, they are taking your emails and they are sending the notifications over there as to when the event is happening or when the launch is coming or any other important event occurring. So, you know, that can be totally offloaded to ETNS. Then, you know, the interesting use case I was thinking about, the way I have designed the payload over here, it's not just the push notifications. I mean, I've reserved type 1 and 2 for push notifications. But, you know, let's say there's a type 3 push notification or just type 3 notification. Now, this notification is basically just a JSON payload of all the addresses which has to be blacklisted for whatever reasons. You know, they could belong to hackers, they're stolen funds, and whatever. Now, a group of exchange can come together and form a trusted app owner source. And this app owner source can, you know, send this payload out to the ETNS server, which will in turn be broadcasted. And of course, everything is also stored in the smart contract, so the exchanges can also listen to it. So, you know, just like how the DeFi hack happened, wherein 25 million DeFi was taken away, $25 million were taken away. So whenever that sort of thing happens, it's a very slow and manual process. At least in my head, it is that, people will first find out that a hack has taken place. Then they will approach exchanges or interested owners and just say that, put a lock on those funds. And, once those exchanges respond to the security concern, only then they are able to lock the appropriate wallets. But because this service will be all automated and it's all on smart contract, a very nice use case would be, this trusted app owner wherein all these exchanges are subscribed to. It can instantly send a notification that, this address is compromised and don't process the payment. And, that can happen as well.
I have a question, Harsh.
Yeah.
So do you see this as a protocol that other projects will integrate, or is this a standalone app that it could, in a sense, it's a wallet that also has push notifications?
Okay. So yeah, this is a protocol which others can integrate very easily. As I said, the push notification messages, they are stored on the IPFS server and the events are broadcasted. So basically anybody can build a service like this and, just use it for their own dApp, or, just use it for their own purpose. At the same point, we also have the EPNS service, wherein the dApps can subscribe to, or the users can subscribe to, and it can work like that. So it's going to be all open source. I'm not very sure about the server part as of now, but right now the app, the smart contract, and the dApp, they are all open source. So anybody, can just clone the repo and can start to build if they want to.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Trent?
Yeah, it's a good perspective. I'll have to dig a little bit more into the game theory part of it, because I didn't realize that was part of your concept, or you have people staking. But yeah, I'll read about that after this. Any final comments from Liam or Franco? All right, let's keep moving ahead.
Yeah, friend, just a question. So Liam, did you find any of these things sexy, or I should keep on thinking of other use cases?
I think you described some good use cases. I think though that they're not I don't think, at least for me, I think for the majority of people, they're probably going to be less likely to matter to them, these kind of alerts, or they're going to be not likely want to think about them. But I don't know, I have to think about it a bit more carefully. I was also just going to suggest, because I work on layer 2 stuff a lot, and one thing that's relevant in layer 2 is you need to make sure that you're watching the chain, because someone might challenge or put old state or something like that. And so you want to have some way to avoid that. And there's a lot of stuff now that does that. And one of those things is this service called any.sender that Patrick McCrory and some others are working on. And it seems to me like what they're doing is kind of similar, but it's more implemented as an API as opposed to a mobile kind of concept. But there might be some ways that you could work together with them, or that they could, in some way, you guys could work together, because their main value prop is they have a automatic triggering system. So if this event happens, then automatically submit this and only this exact transaction to the chain. So you can guarantee that some transaction will get submitted. So it kind of has this alert system, but then you have the beautiful UI on top of that. So maybe there's something that could be merged where it's on top of what you've already built, if this notification occurs, then we want to automatically do this action. And then you could hook up to some kind of automated action system. So maybe I got a push notification saying, hey, this alert happened and we took action and now this is safe. Don't worry about it. Just letting you know. And that would be interesting for me to see.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely look into any sender.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Harsh. All right, let's jump into the next one. We've got Charles Bayer. Are you around?
Can you hear me?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Great. So we are the team Block Hub. So I'm working with Vincent, Timothy, and Stevan in this. So we are currently building a Telegram bot, which allows users to generate Ethereum smart wallets to receive and spend funds quickly and to interact with the Ethereum DeFi. So we are still building. So I hope that's okay if we are just discussing the idea right now and what we implemented right now. So as for now, we built a first proof of concept of the Telegram bot, which can create an Ethereum smart wallet, display the address as a QR code, and receive funds. So in terms of development, we have a smart wallet manager smart contract, which is controlled by the private key of the Telegram bot, which can deploy new smart wallets each time a user is creating an account and control the spending of funds. So as of now, it's still a custodial solution, but we are looking at ways to make it more non-custodial and decentralized. To make it secure, we have the use of OTP, one-time password, with two FA confirmations to make sure that the user that is calling the bot is the proper user and has the access of the smart wallets. And we are working on a backup system in which users can send their Ethereum address in order to, with a signed message, to retrieve the funds manually if the bot is not working.
I have two questions.
Yes.
First question is there anything fundamentally about Telegram that is important for this to work the way that you want it, or could it also work in Discord?
It could work on Discord. The thing is, we worked on some different bots previously for other projects, and Telegram is the easiest one. Everything is open source, so it's quite easy to implement. We also know that a lot of the crypto community is using Telegram. So in terms of onboarding, it's very straightforward. You do not need to install a new app to create a wallet. You just need to join the Telegram bot channel, and you can start creating a wallet and interact with it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say it might be interesting if the APIs are similar, or you could write some abstraction so you did in Discord, because then like we have like, these like, hundreds of hackers and even like additional like 1,000 other people from other events in this Discord. It might be like a really easy like early user base to try this out on, because it's way more likely to experiment than having to set up a whole like marketing campaign stuff on Telegram where people are going to be like introduced to this cold. So if you wanted to get users fast, that might be a good strategy. And then the second thing I was going to ask is, what's like, are you familiar with Button Wallet? Have you seen that?
With what? Sorry.
It's called Button in all caps. Button Wallet.
Oh no.
I just know that there's these guys that have been going to a bunch of ETHGlobal hackathons over the years, and one of them is a developer at Button, like all caps Button Wallet. And I think it is a Telegram bot for crypto. I don't know 100% how similar it is to what you described, but I was going to ask what the difference is between what you're doing and that. But if you don't know about it yet, then I would just recommend looking it up.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I know there's at least one other team in HackMoney that's doing something similar, where they're working on a Telegram bot. So I would actually, he was going to present earlier, but he wasn't able to join us. So I would maybe connect with him. His name's Evert, Evert. Maybe you guys can share some strategy or something. Cool. Any other comments for Charles?
Yeah. So are the things that you can use the vault for limited to the integrations you've built, or can you use it to sign arbitrary transactions, allowing me to interact with all of Ethereum?
We will try for now just to only allow the smart wallets to interact with DeFi. So it's very centralized for now. We are still trying to reiterate the project to see what we can do and what we cannot do. So for now, it's still a bit early, yeah.
All right, cool. Maybe you can find a way to hook it up to MetaMask in some hacky way so
Yeah.
that you can use it through with a web app and use it to sign anything. That'd be cool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charles. All right, it looks like I skipped over Mike Jen, Team Titans. I don't know if he's in here. I don't see his name. So we will move on to Cyril, League of Pools.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Go ahead.
Our game, League of Pools, is named after League of Legends, but it's related to DeFi. So people can invest in different sponsors, or we call them pool providers, because they provide an investment vehicle that is a pool, and basically the user can invest in any of these pools, and he can summon a character that will be growing according to the points that he earns. And the points can be earned either by earning interest in the pools in which he has invested, or by referring new people, or by participating in a clan, which is a kind of social thing, where there's a chat probably, and yeah, and that's the yeah. And once a month there's a competition and a leaderboard in which the person, the player, like the champion that has earned the most points, can earn a prize that is still being thought about, but basically there could be a governance token that that is allowed to borrow up till 10% of the pooled funds, and what is earned with these funds, the 10%, goes to the governance token. And actually the once a month there's a competition. The champion that earns the most points can earn a governance token. And
okay,
that's the idea.
So this could integrate with any pooled liquidity protocol, or do you have specific ones in mind?
Well, for the moment, we've been looking at the documentation of Uniswap Aave, and we envision it to add also Compound and Balancer because they are sponsors. But later on, we also wanted to add FutureSwap and other platforms where any pool. The thing is to earn interest, to earn that the amount you deposited is lower than what is being withdrawn at the end of the investment, and that provides points to the user.
Mm-hmm. And so contributions are tracked on chain through governance tokens, or like the standings.
Yeah, at any moment, any user can see how much token he has of the pool and how much the pool is worth, so he can know how much he owns. We want to make the base currency DAI because it's easy to use, and that's pretty much. I have some questions, maybe if there are no more questions from your side.
Sure, go ahead.
I wanted to ask if, for example, I want to invest in a Uniswap pool from my contract, it's not mine, and should I create a template for each pair or create a library that is given the two tokens or the parameters of which pool in Uniswap to call or to call to see how much holdings we have or to invest in, deposit or withdraw? I don't know if it should be a template contract and to create a new contract for each liquidity pool, or a library in which I pass the parameters of which liquidity pool we are calling and the address of the sender or other parameters for what, yeah. The amount we want to deposit, for example, the address of the sender, of the depositor, and the amount we want to deposit, and in which liquidity pool to deposit it. Yeah, that's more like an implementation question regarding either to create new contracts and deploy them, or try to, if it is possible, to do it with a library.
I don't know if Liam or any of the other mentors have a comment on this, but definitely going to Uniswap, their channel directly, would be the fastest way. Liam?
Yeah, I think maybe you want to like specify all the assumptions you kind of have, and like maybe ask this in like a written way to get, so we can get like a really comprehensive answer. But
yeah,
sounds like what you said, right?
One last question. Are there any other games like this that you sort of used as inspiration, or you are using as a reference point, or is this all fresh stuff?
Are you asking to me or to other?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to you.
Okay. Yeah, no, we didn't see anything. Well, there was CryptoKitties, which has the same concept of creating new cats or buying the ones that have been created, which are our champions. And also there was another game that is called Cheese Wizards from the same, and there was the concept of defying, summoning a wizard and defying each other, which we also want to imitate a little bit. So, but with DeFi, no, to be integrated with DeFi, we didn't see anything like that before.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because I mean, definitely gamifying things is a powerful strategy. So I'm excited to play it. So hopefully we can get it out there in the next few weeks. Yeah. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's keep going. I realize I also somehow managed to skip over Miles as well. So Miles, if you are present and ready to present, take it away.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. So I'm part of team What the Frack, and it'll become obvious why soon. I'm working with Mick and Theo and Demos. And so basically what we're building, I'm going to share my screen so you can actually see. So I've actually never done this part before, so I have to hit share screen, and then, oh, it just says Google Chrome unknown. I see. That makes me sad that this is how this works. I guess I can just share my whole screen. Is that?
Yeah, just make sure it's you don't have any private keys laying around.
Yeah, I know, that was pretty funny on the previous one. Oh my God, I don't actually have access to do this.
Yeah, sometimes there are permissions to screen sharing if you.
Yeah, no, it's saying I have to quit Zoom. Okay, well that's not gonna happen. Can someone else on my team go ahead and share this? That's really frustrating. Anyway, I can just start talking about it, and then we'll hopefully have this thing figured out by the end. So essentially, what we're doing is So as more and more valuable NFTs come into existence, people might want to fractionalize their ownership of those NFTs. So for example, if you're in crypto voxels or Decentraland and like these things actually start selling for thousands of dollars or even tens of thousands of dollars, you might want a way to fractionalize your NFT so you can sell your fractional share of it, or someone might want to buy pieces of a property and might not be able to afford an entire property. If crypto art becomes more valuable, people might want to, you know, speculate on art or buy a portion of it, et cetera, et cetera. So our solution then is to create a smart contract that allows someone to send their NFT to that smart contract and receive fractional ERC20 tokens in return that represent the ownership of that contract. Cool. Damon has this up. And so we've built this tool that allows you to do a few different things. So the first thing it does is it allows you to actually write the NFT and fractionalize it. The next thing it does is we're going to create a distribution mechanism, which is to put the NFT into a balancer pool along with some DAI. And I say some DAI because we're trying to keep the capital requirements really, really low. So we start with like a 2%, 98% distribution of DAI to the fractional NFT. And then we slowly, over the course of, we haven't determined the time period yet, but maybe a couple weeks, we flip that. So you need to put in very little DAI, and then arbitrageurs can rebalance that portfolio for a profit as the distribution changes. So that's kind of our low capital requirement way to get these fractional NFT tokens into people's hands. And then we're also creating an English style auction. We're kind of debating between English or Dutch, but English style auction to sell the NFT if the shareholders of the NFT so choose. And then once the NFT is sold, they can get their fraction of the profits back. So Demos here is showing some of the UI that we've built. None of this is hooked up to the actual smart contracts yet, so we don't have to worry about anything going wrong. This is all just kind of dummy information. So you can deposit the NFT, specify how many DAI that you're going to deposit, and that should be based on the approximate value that you see, and you're incentivized to accurately represent the approximate value, because if it's inaccurate, then you're going to lose money to arbitrageurs in the balancer pool. And then if you just click on waiting for confirmation, Demos, so then it'll actually send it. This is all just fake UI at this point. And if you click on the Ethereum icon at the top left, it's kind of silly, but
it's very convincing for a fake UI.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So the UI has C balancer pool just linked to balancer.com or balancer.finance right now, or exchange. So that's kind of what we're building. So as you can see, it's a work in progress. We have half the UI built. We have half the smart contracts built. They're not really connected yet, but that's where we're at. So yeah, what do you guys think? What kind of questions do you have?
I mean, it seems like you guys are pretty far ahead in terms of you're attacking both the UI and the contracts at the same time. It's a really cool concept. So I'm excited to see what else you guys can integrate. So you're starting with Balancer, is that correct?
Yeah, so I think Mick from PyDAO, who's on our team, wanted to go for the auction first. But yeah, so we're going to do an auction, but we're also definitely going to integrate Balancer.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about like where you guys are now and how many weeks are left, and like how can we supercharge this? How can we make it super awesome? Cool. I'm sure you guys have some ideas. Liam, you got anything?
I have a question. So do you guys think that this would make sense for any kind of NFTs? Because some NFTs are kind of like productive assets that, like, I don't know, an ENS domain is valuable because I can use it for my business or whatever. It's a great domain name, but I need the whole thing and control over it to actually use it as my ENS. If I own a fraction of a contract that's holding it, I can't really operate it. So where does the fraction of these ENS derive its value if I can't use it for the reason it's valuable?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So this whole thing is kind of predicated on the idea that these NFTs have value, but if no one holds it, then the NFT doesn't really have that value anymore. So yeah, kind of managing the actual ownership of the NFT and who has control over it is something we're still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do it. I know from the 721 spec that you can you can have an owner, which could be the contract, but the contract is the owner is allowed to authorize someone else to have control over it, is my understanding. So we're still looking into those mechanisms and how we can leverage that to, keep the value up. And as to which types of NFTs, this is definitely kind of a forward-looking product, because right now people can afford crypto art, people can afford a crypto voxel plot. But maybe in a couple of years, maybe those things are much more valuable, or maybe real estate is coming online and we're talking about a $200,000 house, or whatever real world representations we are representing as NFTs. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. What brings this, what comes to mind is, I think it's Ancient from Aragon Ancient, I think it's called. It's this thing they have that allows DAOs that only exist as a contract to execute arbitrary Ethereum transactions. So the DAO can do anything that an Ethereum user could do. So maybe like the holders of fractions of a token are actually themselves a DAO, and they govern the asset that's fractionalized.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it makes extra sense when you're talking about a house or something like that. And I think that that's like a V2 sort of addition that we should definitely consider.
All right. Well, I think we're just gonna keep moving along. Miles and What the Frack team. Thank you for joining.
Of course,
and
thank
sharing.
you for your feedback.
For sure. Let me double check our list. Ethan, CrowdLink.
Yep, I'm here. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. I'll share my screen. I got a presentation I put together. All right. So I'm also here with my colleague, Ricardo. He's on the call. So what we're doing is creating a peer-to-peer referral system. Basically, what we discovered, I even discovered this recently. I was setting up a referral campaign for a company, and the current process is actually quite expensive using software for it. And especially if you're a beginner, it can take a very long time to get everything organized. Even at the same time too, when you use centralized referral systems, you have to go through the software that takes a cut, the payment gate, and then the bank. So the challenge we wanted to do for this hackathon was try to create a simpler solution for this that is actually cheaper, would take even minutes to create a campaign, and instantly connect to the referral marketer's wallet. So here's a bit of the example of our UX, what we're doing. So you sign up with Portis with our web application. And the first step you do as a referral marketer is you connect to Google Analytics. And this is through an API. And we just hit a breakthrough using, we think potentially using UTM parameters will be allow us to actually track every referral link through Google Analytics. Because right now, all companies that sell products or businesses, they use Google Analytics to track their sales. So this is how we would know what sales would come from a link. And then the next step is all they have to do is type the URL they want the referral link to be, and then their percentage per sale or per click if they wanted a per click action. And then you just pay with Portis as the referral marketer step. So it's just a 3-step process to create your referral campaign. And then you're basically ready to go. This link right here is what you'd give a referral marketer you know. And you'll notice on the right side is basically you can withdraw any time from the smart contract, and that will end the referral campaign. And then what the user side would see is just this, basically, whether this is live on like a news feed or they get the specific link. They just have to click and generate the link, and then they're ready to go. And as they're connected with Portis, they would earn per percentage of sale from the referral link. So if you get traffic from that link and someone buys your product, you would get that commission. So basically under the hood, how we're developing this is we're using an Oracle from Chainlink. So this will allow us to track per click and per sale from the referral link. We're using Portis to sign up, but one thing is very important about Portis is you can actually pay in fiat. So that's really good because we can have referral marketers not even be part of blockchain or understand it and can use the system. And then basically from that from the Oracle, the contract identifies the percentage accrued through the sale. And so you're getting that sent to your wallet on Portis from the application, the money. And last part is just the smart contract. Basically, the steps are you sign up to the Portis. So that's the ID connection. Both referral creators and users, you deposit the ETH, set a reward per click or sale. Through Google Analytics or through the per clicking of the URL, we use the Chainlink Oracle, which that is the link that goes to the referral when they create it, and then they just receive per click or per sale from the link, and that's it. And this is our current team.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Mick's question is, how do you prevent fraud?
Okay, well, per sale, no fraud can actually really happen because you only are paying out if that link generated a sale. So per sale click, there's no potential fraud, but per click, yes, that could be an issue. So one option is you actually, a lot of times when you're talking to an influencer, they're going to want, like they say, hey, it's going to cost you $500. I promise you 5,000 people visit your site. So it would be more individual for probably per click, where that would be your escrow to make sure they are bringing the 5,000 people to your website instead of paying them upfront. And then I guess there's other ways you can use CAPTCHA, but yes, the per click probably would have to be private and not open to the public.
Gotcha.
I don't really have a good question, but this seems like a really good idea. It seems like the biggest thing to really nail is how you're what the actual experience is for people that want to use it or want to try it out. So for example, I can imagine a scenario where for a future event that we do with ETHGlobal, we might want to play around with this, making it as seamless as possible for us to integrate it with our Google Analytics, and maybe pass it to a couple of promotion partners, would be what we would need to work really, really, really well in order to convince us to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So my main point is just gives you a really cool idea, and I think we'd want to try it out. It's just a function of how easy will it be to use.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the only way this works is it needs to be super simple. So that's why we're trying to implement the 3-step process. So you in 1 minute you could create a referral campaign, because right now it can take up to a week to do this on a centralized referral system. It's a very difficult process. So that's try to be cheaper and easier. And also the revenue model is actually we want to take 10% of all referral money going out. So if you make a sale, the user's getting 90% of that sale, we get 10%. So that's how we're trying. So the goal with the revenue model is there's no upfront costs for the referral marketer. Like all the other current software out there you have to pay SaaS model subscription and commission also.
Well, another kind of piece of feedback, we it will be interesting to see how extensible this escrow smart contract can be. For example, for our use case, we use unlock protocol for all the staking of all the hackers, right? If I could build this system and somehow integrate it with unlock, so the trigger point was whether or not a transaction was sent to unlock, as opposed to the specific contract, that would be also a nice feature.
Ah, interesting.
So maybe you need to have some kind of like a proxy address or something.
All right, noted.
Cool.
Cool. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ethan. We're moving back up the list a little bit to Jesus. Just remember to keep it short, just because we want to fit in a few more teams here. But you are welcome to start talking and share your idea.
Okay, thank you very much. I will share my screen. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so our idea, we have right now like analyzing where right now are financially configuring the product. The idea is to do a decentralized dealer. So the main thing basically is we have in our environment, we are exposed to a lot of spike trading. So that in traditional market has been faced in the 90s and with electronic trading. As you know, traditional market stops when markets goes down 15%. So there are some kind of methods in order to avoid this kind of flash trading or flash cracks that in trading is really, in crypto trading is more difficult. That's sometimes because the market is not so efficient in order to put the liquidity in an efficient way, in order to can really take advantage of these prices that really are prices that are not real or in some way. Because there are some two kind of trading. One is the flash trading that the price moves, but there are not fundamental reasons to do it. And there are another crash that is because there is a crisis or what a really fundamental reason to do this kind of crashes. We will see in crypto market that there are a lot of spike trading because of liquidity, because of different kind of fragmentation in the market. So I think there are opportunities really to take advantage of this kind of spike trading. So, and with the flash loans, it's even more easy right now to manipulate the prices. As you can see, really there are a lot of hacks, right, that try to manipulate the price because it's not so easy right now to manipulate the price. So that's even, I don't know if you remember, there are some initiatives I really be involved in the market DAO backstops. But this is like initiative people right now trying like to put a price where really people are going to put liquidity or they are going to be liquidity in that price in order to buy at that price. Because in sometimes that doesn't make sense. And I think for sure all we have prices that we will be eager to buy some kind of assets. So how really architect to this kind of decentralized dealer, okay? So in the traditional market, there are a dealer function in some way. There are people who right now it's market making and they have like doing this kind of business with a spread, but there are another kind of last resort dealers that buy like with some kind of bonds, with some kind of rates. So the idea is really to make a product that can really put capital in some kind of prices that also increase the cost of the falls. Imagine I want to manipulate a price, and if there are out of liquidity, imagine one trader wants to put the price of Ethereum in, I know, $10. If you really have some product that really puts a lot of liquidity, I know, in $50, it will cost a lot really to drive the price to this level. So how can you do that? So for our idea is, first of all, this kind of trading are going not to, it's going to happen not too much time. So we are going to have some capital allocation in some kind of interest rate protocols in order to have returns from that. But in case there is like a flash cracks, you have to have like a financial product that can put liquidity in that moment in the market in order to take advantage of this price. So that's what we are trying to do. We are going to have like a portfolio rebalancing that like a set. We were thinking in using set protocols in order like to have some kind of rules. Imagine I decide that if market price of Ethereum drops to 18, I am going to buy. Okay, that's the main. So the thing is, in that kind of issue, to put the capital in the market, and we think Balancer will be the easy ways to be in that kind of pool that needs to be consumed before the price drops. And as Balancer can also define some rules like commissions, we also can hide the commissions in order to do the most costly to this kind of operations. So the idea is in that moments to have a very big commissions in that kind of moments in order even to do it more costly, to can really buy this kind of price asset at that price, and to wait for the price to go to the other balance in order to sell the balance. So in the main right now, in order to summarize, the main really reason is to take advantage of this spike trading in order to do a lot of commission in this spike, to can really define a price where you are able to buy, and to try to less the market more efficient in terms of capital at a certain level price. And the people who has capital in Aave or in other protocols can really have an option to take advantage of that moment of liquidity demand.
Okay. Any thoughts from anybody, really?
I don't know if I've explained it well, or you can understand.
Yeah, I might need to read up a little bit more on what your concept is.
I guess I'm interested to see like what's the MVP kind of version of this.
The version is very easy, because it will be a product that you can invest. It's like a token set, and the thing is how you really to manage like the smart contract in order to do this kind of balance when the oracle determines that you have to balance and to put liquidity in the market. So you are going to put liquidity in that token. They will return the token, and the smart contract, what we do is when Ethereum, I don't know, arrives to a certain price, the smart contract put the liquidity that is right now in Aave or in Compound in Balancer in order to buy all the assets, and they will return the assets to the cash again when a certain price goes up.
Do you think that there'll be like a version of that? Like, when do you think? How long do you think it's going to take to build a version of that? Is that something that will be like good for like a demo next week?
I think right now we have to talk with Balancer, because we have all the issues. We have to things very simple. I don't know we are going to achieve, but we can do like a Balancer pool that we can configure I don't know if automatically or I don't know with Oracle, that they can change the balance and you can see the commissions. That we do. The other thing is if we can really get investment from one people and to return the token. So we have like several kind of we can do. I think that the MVP could be like a Balancer pool, and we need to know what Balancer can really or are really the functionality that we can have to do to develop or not.
Yeah, that's amazing from my point of view. Like, it sounds like an interesting like concept. I just want to see it working. That's my main kind of thought.
But it's a kind of balance. As you know, sets, if you have seen the set protocol, that they balance between Earth, ETH, Ethereum, and DAI depends of median moving average or RCI, some technical issues. It's mostly the same. We cannot even do it with sets in case. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for presenting.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Great. So we're gonna.
I have to head out, but
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to put my Discord in the chat, but just want to say thanks for organizing everything.
Yeah, we're gonna do a couple more. Hopefully end around 12 Eastern. So looks
Are
like
there
there's
other mentors? I was also about to drop off.
no, there aren't. But if you have to go, you have to go. It's still good practice to kind of present your ideas. I think for the hackers, and we can get feedback from the other teams. But
right,
if
cool.
you have to go, that's fine.
All right. Yeah, I do. All right. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
No worries. Bye-bye.
All right. So like I said, let's see who else. I think. Yeah, let's get a few more teams in. I know a bunch of people had already presented in the other room with Austin and Jacob. So if you've already presented and I call your name, please don't present twice. But next up is Sai for BLSH.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, go ahead.
So this is Sai, so smart mobile developer from India. So we have been working with a idea called buy low and sell high. So basically, this idea came out of like a lot of research from the users when I used to work when I used to interview with a lot of people in this space, in the DeFi space especially. So basically, there are two problems. So one is the liquidity. So liquidity is the main thing that drives the DeFi space, and the other thing is the users. Okay. So what we are trying to do is, so I have Robot and Lucas working along with me. So yeah, so what we are trying to do is combine these two factors and make up a protocol where DeFi protocols can benefit from the liquidity of the users, and the users can benefit by the liquidity that they are providing to the protocols. So we have took limit orders as a basic concept to drive the liquidity. So I think I don't I think a lot of people have explored Kyberswap and Uniswap, where people just place the limit orders, and they used to purchase it at a very low prices, and they sell it at very high prices. So, but the duration up to which the limit order is about to take place, so that money will sit idle. Okay, so what we are trying to do is utilize that particular money and give out the APR to the users, along with the profits they get from the order when it gets executed. So for this, we are using Aave as a lending protocol, and for getting the prices of different tokens. So we are using Chainlink for now, and for the liquidations, we are trying to use Uniswap and Kyberswap both at a time, so that like we don't have any issues with the liquidity when it comes to the large orders. Yeah, so basically I just want to share the screen and show you up the website that we have built.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it, but what does the acronym stand for?
So basically, it's buy
Oh,
low.
I see.
Yeah. So basically, it's buy low and sell high. Okay. So it works other way around. So you can sell high at and buy low. So yeah, basically the long and short mechanism. Yeah. So here one can place different pays. Okay, let's say Ether and USDC. Then we have a nice graph. Then you just enter the buy amount, let's say 20, and the buy price I want to go with is $120, and the duration will be 28 days. So for the 28 days, so you'll be getting the profit of $0.6. So this is basically not integrated with Aave as of now. So yeah, after integrating smart contracts, we'll get the exact number. So it's just a random number. So when I submit, you'll just place the order. And what happens now is, so we will just put that particular 20 Ether into Aave protocol. So from where you can generate the APR. Okay, as long as the order is still live and the parameters are not still executed. So let's say the buy price is that I have placed is 120. So till the ether gets at 120, so you'll be getting the APR on the 20 ether. So buyer and also like seller won't end up with actually the profits that he will get from that particular order, but the extra APR that he'll get from the Aave protocol. So this is all about this thing. So let me know like if anyone have any queries and suggestions.
Sure. Yeah. So first question is like, what is the balance between, or how far have you gotten with the front end versus the back end, or the contracts themselves?
So yeah, in the contract side, so basically there is one issue with the Aave. So in the deposit, so let's say when I deposit, so when the user deposits, all the deposits are going through our contracts into Aave. So it's really hard to find what amount of APR that exactly the user is getting. So Aave team is still finding out the way. So after this, like most of the contract is done except this part. So I think it will be probably resolved by this weekend. So yeah, smart contracts will be ready by this weekend. The front end is mostly done. The only part that is remaining is the cron job that we should write on the server side. So basically, whenever the price hits, so there should be a trigger from the backend side to execute that particular order, and the liquidation process should be automatic. Yeah. So this is where we are at now.
So you guys, your team will be running a server to power the liquidations?
Yeah, so we are trying to utilize the server as of the cron job, basically, which Node provides, and later on, like we can go with the decentralized mechanisms such as IPFS and I don't know, like there are many decentralized servers which we can utilize.
Okay. Yeah, I know there are also some there are some on-chain liquidation. I don't want to say pools, but there are some liquidation bots that are run by certain groups on chain. So I'd be curious to see maybe you could integrate those just to remove some dependency on your team in case the server goes down or something.
Yeah, so basically it's not our team that will be running this job. So it's basically the server that will take care of each and every execution process. So it's not a manual process. It's an automatic process. But only the thing is, server is a centralized part, right? So I'm not happy with the centralization. So in the next version of our app, so we'll be moving to the decentralized server mechanisms.
Okay, gotcha. That's great. Any comments from the remaining people that we've got in the chat? It seems like you guys got some good progress for the past week and a half. It's awesome to see.
Hey, Trent.
Yeah.
Hi. So I'm one of the partners here in the group with Lucas and Sai. One thing that I kind of wanted to understand a little bit and run through you is, as it is currently, it's kind of a DeFi platform for pairs Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? And I'm wondering, do you think it would be a smart idea to somehow integrate synthetic assets onto this? Because really what it is it's like a derivatives platform, right?
Mhm.
So I'm thinking maybe we could expand that to different types of assets. Is that something that you would agree with, or think it would be a good idea?
Yeah, so it depends. Really depends on what strategy you guys choose. If you want to expand the scope to derivatives, then that's sort of the choice that you have to make. Are there other sponsors that you could potentially integrate if you expand the scope, or could you go like make the product have a few more features that focus on BTC and ETH? You said that Chainlink is your Oracle for now?
Yes. So we are using the Chainlink, and moving forward, like we are planning to have many different features also integrated in this. So we also want to have open integrated for the futures contract sort of thing. But I don't want to go to in detailed discussion, because for this hackathon, I think so like it's good to have a very simple UI and the benefits that users can get from this protocol to the entire DeFi space.
Yeah. Definitely. I'd be curious to see a written summary of what your project is and like a very clear statement of like whether, if it exists, what your product is better, or why this project is a significant improvement, or what pain points is it solving for people, and like what the ultimate value proposition is. Because I'm sure you guys have it all in your heads, but that would be super helpful for me to see.
So basically, I have already explained you. So basically, we are solving. So from the user perspective, so in everyday busy life, so everyone don't want to actually go through each and every protocol and see like what's happening with a particular asset. So they need to just place the order, and that's it. Then after that, like every work will be done by the smart contracts. Only they will get the profits into their wallet directly. So only the job they will do is just put the order and submit the order. After that, like they will be getting profits into their pocket directly whenever the parameters are required. And also like then the second thing is providing the liquidity to the DeFi protocols. So why we should put the money idle on the smart contracts? Instead, we can relay that particular assets into a different protocol, so that like DeFi protocols and also like many different projects will benefit from the liquidity.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, thank you guys for presenting. We're gonna wrap up here. I'm sorry if there are a few people I know we didn't get to that had signed up to present. So again, apologies for that, but this will be the session for this week. It seems like there's definitely demand to keep doing this and just give people a chance to practice the way they're communicating what their project does and its features. So we will try to schedule something, if not next week, then the week after, just so people get in the habit of explaining their ideas and sharing their progress. I think it's really helpful for everybody. Does anybody have any questions, just general questions about the hackathon? Any problems they're having with check-ins? Anybody?
Okay, no problems, Frank. Just wanted to know what will be the presentation like on the final day, whether we get 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or any important stuff like that.
Yeah, so we're still figuring out the specifics of what the presentation will be, but definitely one of the things we're strongly considering is we will probably have teams submit a video, just a short video summary. That way it's easier for judges to review asynchronously, and we don't have to get everybody in the same Zoom call. And there will, that's something we're considering, but specific details, I think there might be a few general guidelines in your hacker logistics page, but definitely we'll be releasing specifics hopefully very soon. I know that's not like maybe the exact answer you're looking for, but we'll for sure have more info. Anything else?
I appreciate the general direction.
Yeah. All right, if there are no more questions, definitely if you presented something and there was a question about like which sponsor you're integrating, head directly to their channel. The earlier you start engaging with the sponsors and seeing if you're trying to pursue a specific sponsor prize, the earlier you start doing that, the better they can help you actually accomplish that. Yeah, and I guess the final thing for me is just make sure you've checked into the cohort channel. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning, for anybody who just joined or joined halfway, we've switched from doing individual DMs to teams, and now all check-ins will be happening in the cohort channel. So they're all named after some economists you may or may not have heard of. Do we have any DoFlow people here? I think Jesus, you're in my cohort. Yeah? Oh, you're muted.
I need to include people from the course. I don't know how to do it.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me right now?
No, it's your headphones might be unplugged a little or something.
Hello, hello.
No, it's still very quiet, but we'll talk later. Okay, yeah, so like I said, make sure to check in. We'll be doing these weekly, every week. And these are very important because if you miss check-ins, you might be at risk of losing your stake at the end. We want to make sure that people are successful and producing something that is valuable, and the hackathon overall is successful for you guys. All right. This was really awesome. Thank you for showing up and presenting, those of you who did. Again, we will try to have more sessions next week or the week after. I'm going to sign off here. Thank you, everybody, so much.
Great. Thanks, Trent.
Yeah.
See you all.
Have a good rest of the week.
You too.